ordering it the next day, but that did not happen.
And again, I was in that meeting. That was a USDA compromise, having the equipment moved off-site. That really wasn't a village thing. And that was the I think that was Brent that suggested it. That was a USDA thinking out of the box. Because essentially they own it.
And just to add too, we have had conversations with Eagle with their adjusted schedule, and we have agreed with the contractor not to do a revised schedule until we meet with Eagle again in March, so that they can see the most accurate and show that we have been making progress through these winter months with the contractor when looking at our timing and everything like that. So I do want to give the contractor that as well.
I'm back. I don't know what happened there. Sorry about that. So, I just wanted to clear that up about the shop drawings. And then as far as what Pogemeyer, we do oversee what they do on site. We do not, by any means, we cannot control their means or methods. We can't tell them, even though I know Ken is pretty good about saying, oh, well, if you can't do that, you have all this over here to do. I mean, I think he's pretty good about that, but we don't have the authority to dictate how fast they're doing it or what they're doing. I guess I don't know how else to put that, but we oversee that they're following the specifications and they're doing, safely or what we want them to do and install at the plant. So I don't know if that had answered all the questions. I was trying to keep track of what everybody kind of commented on.
So I know, Mike, it's only $1,700, but then there's a lot more change orders to come. These guys are going to nickel and dime us. They're not a willing partner. USDA's worked with us. Eagle's working with us. We're contributing to the project as a village. They are not. So I'm fed up. But
and I do agree with your comment about that, because we have been going through another bulletin. It's an additional work that was required. The electrical inspector for the state is requiring us to do something. He's interpreting the code different than what my electricians do and but you got to do what they got to do if you want to get the permit. We've been going back and forth with LaSalle for at least a week, if not two, because we don't agree with it. So you are right. They're trying to get everything in the kitchen sink, and we are fighting every little hour and what they want and what machines they say are on there. And so you are 100% correct. And we are trying to do everything we can, but it's frustrating.
So what are the ramifications if we don't pay that insurance for that?
I guess that's a question for the building owner. He was the one requiring that level of insurance to store the stuff there.
So has the insurance been paid? It's not. The request has been made, but no insurance has been paid.
I believe that I don't know, Danielle, if you know for sure, but I believe that LaSalle went ahead and paid it because they had to before they could move the equipment there.
That is my understanding from. Yeah, that's my understanding from Giovanni, is that they did purchase the insurance so they could get it there and then have submitted it for the change order at this point.
Gotcha. Okay, so we do it. The material is in the building. It is being currently insured. It's safe there at this time.
Correct. Yes.
Correct.
And I do think unfortunately, and I'm hoping we can avoid it, but I think regardless of what happens tonight, this potentially is headed towards litigation. I do think that the village has been working, and Pogemeyer, very hard to keep this project moving forward to get as much as we can. Our bigger concern is Eagle. I reported to you guys, we currently have $123,000 in fines that have not been assessed to the village through Eagle. If we aren't able to get an extension from them and push out, we're going to continue adding to that fine amount due. And the risk of not approving this is slowing that project down. The other thing that I think potentially council could do is, this is broke into two separate pieces. You could approve it partially, you know, if you were comfortable maybe approving the bulletin number 9 for the increased water line that they had to do for the 63 and excluding the insurance. And again, it's up to you guys, but that would be an option.
So that the motion could read, if one were made, to approve the change order number 9 for that amount of the 6329.91 only.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Well, the additional pipe has to be done, or it's already done.
It's been done since June or July.
Okay.
This was another one of those, Hogemeyer and LaSalle went back and forth for several months.
That's the 6,300 we're talking about, Randy?
Yes.
Okay. Well, if there are no more questions, looking for a motion. I'm under the impression that we have the option to go ahead and do the recommended motion as given to us for the total of the 8058, or we can go ahead, as Danielle was suggesting, for lack of better words, to go with the 6329.
I move council approve bulletin number 9, $6,329.91 as requested.
Support.
My apologies. We have a motion by Mike, supported by Tim, to approve bulletin number 9 for a total of $6,329.91. Anyone else have any other comments? If not, Lisa, would you reread it for us, please, and then take it up? Take roll.
Move to approve bulletin number 9 in the amount of $6,329.91.
If you're ready, then.
James,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Barb, yes. Mike,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Gwen.
Yes, and that motion has passed.
I'll also make a motion to approve bulletin number 14 for the total of 1728.45 in order to move the project forward. And we can have our attorneys fight it out later on, because we know we will have to, and it won't be just about this bulletin.
Support.
Mike made a motion to approve bulletin number 14 for the total of $1,728.45, and Tim supported that.
My only reasoning for that is to continue the project going. Again, we're gonna be paying more in legal fees down at the end of this project, because we know they're gonna go over the drop dead date, the completion date. You know, we're gonna have to pay to sit down with the Eagle, discuss that entire process, why we went over the completion date, as well as potential fines that we're facing for not getting the project done from the past. So the legal fees are gonna continue building. If they get mad at us about $1,728, all that's gonna do is expand those legal fees as we move forward.
Anyone else have a comment on that?
No, I just want to make sure they're aware of our displeasure, which I'm sure they already are, but as a council, we haven't really voted against anything, so I'm just gonna take this opportunity to voice my complete and utter displeasure.
I would go that too. This has got to stop. Yeah, somewhere it's got to stop.
It is for a small amount of money, and I mean, obviously in comparison with everything, but sometimes you just gotta say no. You just gotta say no. If there is no other further comment,
But I fully concur with moving the project forward, and I hear exactly what you're saying, and I know it's tough. That's it.
thank you. Lisa?
Barb? No. Jane?
No,
Jerry?
No.
Tim?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Gwen?
No. And I believe that motion did not pass. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am, for your time. Danielle, could you give me some assistance here? We're in helping to call to order the Ragged Township Board meeting, please.
Yes, if we could actually we don't need to do anything other than give the Riga board a few minutes to call their meeting to order. And I will let them kind of take the lead on that if we could just give them some patience.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Yes,
ladies.
I would like, sorry, I'd like to call the Ragged Township special meeting on January 24th, 2022 to order with the village of Blissfield. Present this is Nellie Thompson, our clerk, Carlene Gates, a trustee, and I myself am Katie Gust, and I'm the treasurer. And absent today is Gary Castle, our supervisor, and Brenda Debato, our other trustee. I move to appoint Carlene as our representative this evening, and I will approve that. I got a motion on the floor to have Carlene Gates act as our representative tonight at the meeting. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Seeing none, motion carries.
Are you ready, Riga?
Well, yes.
All right, perfect. Thank you, guys.
Okay, I actually kind of got nominated because our supervisor Gary Castle, who couldn't come tonight, and myself have been meeting. We've had a couple of meetings with Danielle, and we wanted to bring some things to your attention. And she agreed that it would be a good idea. It's kind of confusing. Why did things happen the way they were? And I really believe I'm the only person who was here when this whole thing started in around the late 1990s, and our water and sewer system was installed in the year 2000 and up and running. And since then, we've been paying for water and sewer services to the village of Blissfield. In our contract that we currently have, we negotiated with the council at that time to pay the regular in-village consumption rates for water and sewer services for all of the residential water. Another thing was negotiated when the ethanol plant came, and so they have some bulk water and some water only and water sewer combination rates that were established for them. Our system is a large system with a 12-inch main, and we know that's too big now. But remember, just like you, we're at the mercy of the engineers who tell us what we should have. And it was all approved by USDA and the state of Michigan and all of those people at the time. Because it's such a large line, we don't only have 125 customers approximately that are low water users. It is not unusual to have a 2,000 gallon a month consumer on our system. They're conservative people there with small households. So because of that, we have to do flushing, and to start that off, we put in a bulk water station. It's right by the township hall. It's on the far end of our system. There is a small section that goes beyond that, but that did help with get better flow through our system. It also provided a service to residents of the rural areas of our communities. And since then, it's been used regularly. And it's been used a lot when the Blissfield bulk water station has not been running recently. But the only thing we could negotiate with the village of Blissfield at the time was for us to pay as a wholesale customer the retail price for bulk water, which is $15 a thousand.
That's the current rate.
Yeah, that's the current rate, and it always has. For 20 years, we've been paying the same rate for water going out of our bulk water station as somebody comes to your bulk water station and gets water. Okay, any questions?
You said the same rate from our bulk water system versus the same rate.
Right, we charge the same thing, but we have to pay you all of the money that we get out of that system.
We charge maybe an additional 25 cents per.
Right. I mean, so it turns out that we don't owe you $1,800 and we only take in $1,700, maybe we take in $1,900. Okay. And that was the only thing we could negotiate. We really needed it for the flow. And we also wanted to provide some service to our citizens. So the bulk water station we installed from the general fund money for $50,000 20 years ago, and we maintain it, we collect the money, we do all of that for nothing, basically. So Danielle, in the last meeting we had with her, because she kind of went through, it didn't make sense to her, and she studied it, and she suggested that we come and ask for a change in the rate for the bulk water, for the amount of water that goes through that station. And last month, which would have been December, the amount of water that went through the station was 82,000 gallons.
You want to pay less at your bulk water station than what our village residents pay at our bulk water station?
No,
Or the
we
same?
want to pay you, we're very willing to charge the same from our bulk water station as you charge from your bulk water station. But we want to pay you a smaller amount because of the fact that we have to maintain the water station. We have to, maintain the whole system.
So you're looking for a better wholesale rate?
We're looking for a better wholesale rate, right? Because really, we're paying retail rates for everything, except for what the ethanol plant uses. Does that
And
make
if I
sense?
may add as well, when you're ready for me, just let me know.
Okay,
Riga paid for the lines themselves, correct?
correct.
That had nothing to do with our rates, our rate structure. We didn't charge you anything like that.
No, we paid for the whole thing. We did get it paid off. The summer before last, we did get it paid off. But now, we still have to do all the meter reading, we have to do all the billing, we have to do any maintenance that's on the system in Riga Township. Right now, we have some repairs we need to make to the fire hydrants because there's some bolts that are rusting, they're 20 years old, and we will pay for all of that.
County drains do they work with you on that, or?
They do the billing, and we pay them for that, and they do the meter reading, and they do any maintenance. And then because of our line being so large, then we have this thing where we get these notices that notice about our drinking water. It doesn't meet state quality specifications. And because of that, we have to do a lot of flushing. We pay for that water, that we pay a wholesale rate for, but we have to pay the men from the Drain Commission to come out and to do the flushing and to do the testing. So it's a complicated thing, and I understand that you people on the commission probably, you maybe know a little bit about it, but probably not too much.
When I apologize, I have a feeling mercy, I have to step out. I would request that we see the contract, the original contract that was signed. Again, this is something we can go back to Mr. Wanacott and talk to. He's gonna know why the rates were set at that rate. To me, justifying that Riga Township, who we sell water to at the same rate as the village residents. If Riga is getting cheaper water than what we sell at our bulk station, we pay for all that maintenance too. We pay for the maintenance on the tower, we pay for the maintenance on the plants. So again, to justify that we let you pay less than what our residents pay when we're providing the service doesn't make any sense to me, unfortunately.
Okay, we need to do some better explaining to you. Let's let Danielle talk, but the one thing that I would suggest is that we've kind of brought it up to Danielle, but it hasn't gotten to you, so I'm gonna ask you directly. Would you all come to Riga and we can have a special meeting, not on either of our meeting nights, It could be in the daytime, it can be at nighttime, it can be anytime except for the first and, or the second and the fourth Monday. And would be time to just sit down, you know, and talk to everybody about what it is, and nobody has to make a final decision, which I didn't expect to happen.
I would
tonight.
love to. I'm so sorry that I had
Yeah.
to step out because I really want to discuss this. I'm so sorry.
So that,
But I'd be interested.
but Danielle can give her information too. But that's, I think that would be the best. We have two people that are missing tonight because of illness. So, I think that would be really eye-opening, and we want to have a good working relationship with you, and we haven't even met each other yet.
Right? And here we are talking about these things.
Right.
Danielle, is there something that you would like to address at this particular time?
Yeah, I guess wanted to share with you guys, and this is stuff I've already shared with Riga, but when I first came on board, this was one of the main things that I was asked to work on is the Riga kind of system and their concerns with their fees. So I had an initial meeting with Gary and Charlene. We really just kind of talked, and I was able to pick their brain and just get a lot of feedback about some of their frustrations and concerns. I took a ton of notes, and what I asked them at that time is that they give me a little bit of time just to do some digging and research, which I did, and then went back to them. But what I was able to find, we've actually had 4 amendments already to this agreement, and I'd be more than happy to send any of those to you guys. I think I emailed them a few weeks or maybe a month or so back. But they're kind of, there's some different things. I did share with you guys a summary with some key points. But one of the things I found and what I recommended is that we do a 5th amendment, which is what I was asking you guys to take action on tonight, clarifying the fees. Right now, their residential, commercial, and industrial users are billed at the same rate as inside village limits. Makes sense to me. I understand why we did that. No concerns there. So there would be no change. The second thing that the 4th amendment talks about flushing rates. And in that amendment, council approved to stop charging that monthly base fee or availability fee and just charge for usage. And what it said is that we would charge it usage at the inside village limit rate. What I'm asking is to clarify that. So when I look at our fees, we have inside village rate is $5.95 per 1,000 gallons. And then it goes all the way down to $3.77 based on consumption. So the higher consumption, the lower it goes. Riga falls into the $5.95 category, but we've been charging them the $4.20, which is the mid consumption point. I'm not opposed to continuing that, but I think that the fee schedule should clarify that. And I just, because again, I wasn't there, so I don't know what the intent of council was. So I'm not proposing a change to that, but just to clarify so that in the future, we know that is the rate we should be charging them. And then the last thing, and I do agree with the bulk water. We are currently charging them the $15 per 1,000 gallons, which is what we charge at our bulk water plant. I do understand the sentiment that we are wanting to not give them a cheaper rate than what we charge our residents, but where I struggle and the part that I do feel is unfair is that their bulk water station is theirs. They are fully responsible for all the maintenance and all of the repairs to that bulk water station. We as the village are not. So what I did propose and what I told Riga is, to me, the fair option would be to charge them the outside rate at $11.90 per 1,000 gallons. And the reason I say that, it gives Riga the ability to charge the $15 still, but it gives them a little bit of wiggle room to take care of their own system, which they should be doing. It's not, I think it should be the outside rate and not the inside, because to me, their bulk water users are probably people outside of even their township. and therefore people outside of our village, so they pay that higher rate. If you guys approve that, you are looking at, based off of past usage, about a $5,000 decrease in revenues to our budget. But again, I think that is the fair way to go. I know the argument may be if we're charging them $11.90 and they decide to set their rate at $12 and more people go there instead of our bulk water station. But I don't know that that's a fair argument, because that's an increase and a higher wear and tear on their system, and it saves our system from that wear and tear. So I guess my thing is that we should be fair to them and equitable while still being able to provide a service and get the money that we deserve for all of the maintenance and upkeep that we do on our system as well. And to me, that seems like a fair compromise. I love their idea of having a meeting on an off night with everybody, if you guys feel that that would be beneficial. I think the biggest thing that has come out of all of this is just the importance of having a partnership with Riga and being able to communicate better in the future so that we can work through these issues and find good solutions for both of us.
I would agree with that, and we're all neighbors, so I think if we can all sit down at the table together, maybe see things from your perspective, then we can come up with a good solution that's equitable to everybody.
Because we really can't even bring anything to you because you don't really know anything at all about this. Probably none of you have seen our water contract. In fact, our newer board members were looking for some information, and I says, no, you gotta go way back, go to the 2000, and then it was there. But anyway, we would like consideration on the bulk water, but we would also like to, have a sit down conversation to tell you what our gripes are, or to ask how we can help. When we have to remodel systems, plants at millions of dollars of cost, the more people that can help pay for it, the better it is. So it's to all of our advantage to be working together on the system. I don't see our township growing. I don't see us having a lot more hookups to give a lot more revenue, which really would help everything, but I don't see that happening. We're not doing anything to keep that from happening. But if you could consider the bulk water tonight, or if you're not ready to, I can understand. You haven't heard anything about it before this, I don't think. But we really would like to have a sit down with all of you and just have an opportunity to get questions answered on both sides.
Does $11.90 give you enough margin to operate?
Well, it gives us $3.
Do you have a budget? Do you have a projected budget? Do you have projected costs?
For the bulk water?
For the margin you need.
For what we need. We just started talking about this, so we haven't really figured out something like that. We've just always paid for the bulk water through the general fund. It's just part of our general fund operations. We do get, it's a kind of a break-even operation, and we pay for whatever it costs to our current board members, officers. We don't really have, we do have the deputies that work in the office. Some, they don't work on that. Our elected officials work on the collecting the money and getting it deposited at the bank and keeping track of the records of that.
Is your utilities operated as an enterprise fund?
Yes.
As ours is?
Yes.
What about future upgrades?
But the bulk water is not part of our
No.
water and sewer enterprise fund.
Right.
It is a general township. Because it is open to anyone, and it's not a specially assessed cost or anything. The bulk water station.
No, but the rest of your utility system
That is an
is,
enterprise.
and your water, bulk water is on that system. So it's part of the infrastructure, right?
Right.
So what about future upgrades? You talked about a 12-inch main that runs from our plant to Riga? No?
Our
What runs it?
12-inch main runs from over near the water tower.
Yes, they ran it down Silverhorn and Cemetery. And then into town.
Right, and it hooks in to your system near somewhere by Jensen's, former Jensen's, the Blissfield party store. somewhere in theirs where it hooks together.
You know,
And our water comes out
liquor-
of the water
Sports
tower.
liquor.
Yeah.
By McDonald's.
Yeah. And then,
So is there any discussion or future plans to make changes to that?
to that line,
Yes.
there hasn't been any discussion. We don't think it's probably feasible.
Okay.
But we haven't done any studies on it, until the pandemic started. We were, just working on getting our bonds paid off. We were able to refinance them about 10 years ago, and that did save us quite a bit of money. And we did a upcharge to the water for the ethanol plant. That was negotiated when they came to town. And, we used that money to help pay those bonds, because those bonds were 40 years and we did get them paid in 20.
Nice.
But.
So I'd be interested in a rate reduction, but I'd like to know the margin you need. Because if we offer a rate reduction, that really doesn't do anything for you if it still does not cover your costs. We can then talk about what I would consider MSRP or manufacturer suggested retail price. So that's something that's often put into contracts where you cannot sell below a certain
Right.
price
And
to
we
protect
We don't
our
have a
system as
problem
well.
with that or a desire to do that.
Okay, so I think some sort of study needs to happen as far as the margin you need before we make any decisions.
That's kind of where I was wondering is.
Yeah, because if it's $10, then it's $10, but.
Yeah, where did the $11.90 come from? Was that off our rate?
Yeah,
That's our outside village.
right,
Rate.
for a 3/4, well, no, it's for all the sizes of the meters. It's all the meters, no matter what the size.
Danielle, with the recommended motion being written here, is it appropriate for us to have our meeting with Riga first and then go ahead and then take a look at this, make this decision after discussion? It's not something that has to happen this afternoon, evening, is it?
No, it's absolutely not. So
that's where I think
what I would recommend is if that's if you're wanting to have that meeting and give Riga the ability to do a cost analysis or, some studies to see what they're needing to make to help cover their expenses, then I would just not make a motion and let this item not move forward, but that way we're not postponing to a specific date. We're giving ourselves some leeway there. And then I can work with both you guys as council and Riga to coordinate a meeting in the near future.
Okay.
And I think that would be really beneficial for all of us.
Yes.
Could be the beginning of better days of relationships between Riga and Blissfield.
I'd also like to know the impact from our point of view too, Nora. I don't know if you can work anything up, but how much bulk water, how much of a bulk water increase we could handle. I know a lot of people do visit the Riga station because it is easy to get in and out of there, especially with a trailer.
They have a large amount of water sitting in their system. So honestly, if they could use their system more and flush from their system, these issues they're having, we would hope would diminish. So what they're having, we've talked before, their TTHMs. What's happening is the longer that water sits in your system, it's reacting with your chlorine. We have a surface water plant. We have a large amount of total organics, which as they sit longer are going to create more. They have a large amount sitting in that 12-inch main going down the Riga. So we can, right now we have scaled back our plant running because we don't have the ethanol demand. We're only doing about 300 gallons a day. So if they use more, our plant, we could run a little more efficiently as well, so.
Yeah, and we have no idea about the ethanol plant. I mean, they keep the lights on, they pay their taxes, they pay the water bill, even though they're not using hardly anything. But it's all out of our control as far as whether or when or they're gonna do anything there.
So honestly, I probably wouldn't see a huge demand in what they're pulling, just regular customers coming through because they have such a large amount already just sitting in their system. And I run my plant every day on
the demand for the day. So we look at our last 24 hours, we recalculate and run our plant according every day. So if we come in a little shorter one morning, we're gonna run a little faster the next day, we're gonna spread out a little bit. So it might be something that might take me a little time to spread out if they're getting more usage, which would be great, to help with that system issue. But it's nothing that I can't handle at the plant as we move forward.
All right. Thank you, Nora.
Yeah, so if we could have this be the beginning of a good conversation, we would really appreciate that. So everybody can understand each other and what's going on. And I mean, we do understand that there's a lot of bills up here to be paid, that you've got a lot of pressure coming from Eagle. But if we all work together, it can't get worse, it should get a lot better.
You're right. We need to start thinking about ROG as part of our user base and part of our system.
Yeah, and that's really what we're asking for, I think, right now. And, you know, we can get through an adjustment in rates that needs to come in the future, I believe, after everybody understands better.
I do want council to understand though, how Eagle looks at it, just so you guys know where I'm directed and where all of my rules come from. We have one engineer, they have a different engineer, they're a different system. And so when things happen, kind of like our boil warning in March, how Eagle talks so great together. There was a lot of, so we do have that, we have a meeting on the 4th.
I'm just gonna ask that
The
question.
third, isn't it the third?
Yes, it's a third, it's a Thursday.
It's a
Thursday.
Oh, they have it on the 4th on our calendars. All right.
Oh, we better look into that then.
That was, Gary sent us an email. And I thought it was
Yeah,
important.
I'll double check.
Okay,
There's a meeting coming, it's next week.
okay, but how Eagle runs is what I have to meet. And they have the same requirements, but they look at us as 2 different systems.
Yeah.
So they have to meet their own things, I have to meet mine, and so that is kind of where these come up, like the TTA.
There's notice here.
Yeah.
But the one thing I will say, I did investigate that, because it doesn't make any sense for one person from Eagle to come to Blissfield and they send a different one to Riga and it's the same water, hooked together in a line that connects. It's because you have a different person because you are a water producer and we're just a water distributor. Now, then if that's what they have to have for their rules, those 2 people ought to talk together a little bit more.
And Nora, do you think it would be helpful for you to join us when?
If that's what you guys would like, absolutely.
I think that'd be awesome if you could be in attendance, yes.
Yeah, I would agree.
That, I mean, just have the whole kit caboodle.
I think it would be helpful for Brent to join us too, because Brent is really knowledgeable about the actual distribution system itself. So him and Nora would complement each other really well.
Wonderful. Well, I guess, thank you for taking that opportunity. Obviously with Danielle on board, I'm going to assume that things are moving along in a very positive direction with her on board, as we can obviously see here.
We've had some real nice conversations with her and we'd just like to continue that.
Sounds like we're still keeping you, Danielle. You're still good.
Yay.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for seriously taking your time out, and I'm so glad that we were able to, Danielle sounds like she's gonna set it up for us. We'll get that meeting, Nora and Brent in attendance with us, and then we'll go forward, and you guys can get your answers, questions, rounded around, and we can do the same.
Okay, we really appreciate that.
Thank you, thank you. I think technically. You
And
guys
I'm
have-
gonna make a motion to adjourn.
Wait,
What?
yes.
Oh, wait, sorry,
We have
first I have the
public
whole public comment. Public comment, anyone?
Okay, I just want to say something.
There it is, right
I don't know if I'm gonna figure out that session either, but when you make that motion, can you make it effective the 15th day of the calendar month? Because I can't do a middle of the month rate adjustment.
Danielle, did you understand that? The
I
rationale
think
behind it?
he's saying that when we make a rate adjustment, if we were to make it, because the billing's on the 15th, to make it start on the 15th.
Is that what you're referring to, Brandon? Okay, we got you, okay.
Because I can't do a middle of the month rate adjustment, I can't.
Well, you're getting ahead of the game there, Mr. Hudson. Thank you. Thank you for thinking ahead, Brandon.
Okay, if there's no other comment, I would like to make a motion to adjourn the Ragged Township meeting.
There's a motion to adjourn the Wright Township meeting at 8:33 p.m. Any comments? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye, all opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Again, thank you, ladies, very much.
Thank you for,
Thanks.
And nice meeting you as well. Thank you.
we know you need more things on your plate.
All right, well, we're gonna go ahead and move right along then, folks, to number 4 on the agenda to approve the consumer's natural gas line for generator at the elevated tower. Danielle, would you please address that for us?
Yeah, I can, and hopefully Nora's gonna save me if I need it.
She is, would you like Nora to start?
No, I'll
Okay.
jump in and then let her fill in whatever I miss.
Okay.
So council had previously approved for the generator purchase from Adrian Electric and Mechanical. And we told you we'd be coming back to actually run the gas line for that generator. We were looking at being able to use there's the generator over there and see if we could hook off that, and we found out we can't. Consumers is the only company that we can get the gas line from. The quote will put us over budget, as it came in much higher than we thought. It came in at $11,510.37. However, overall, it's coming from our capital projects, and that line is under budget in some other areas. So I'm feeling confident that budget-wise, we're still going to look good approving this. We don't really have a lot of other options. I talked to Nora about this, and the proposal that consumers submitted doesn't really say like what their cost is. And we asked for more information, and they were like, well, that's our bill. That's your fee for a gas line. So we did confirm that it includes everything, but we're asking council to approve this so that we can get that generator installed and have some backup power over there if we need it. Hopefully we don't, but we need that backup.
Thank you.
What's AEG's timeline to get the generator there?
The generator is in. They just got it in. So they're just waiting on the gas line at this point.
Okay,
Nora, you want to go ahead and add to what Danielle said?
No.
Anything special?
No.
No?
No.
I move to approve the project with Consumers Energy for the natural gas line for the generator at the elevated tower in the amount of $11,510.37. For it to be completed by Consumers Energy.
I'll support that.
Okay, we have a motion by James as stated and supported by Jerry. Anyone have any comments to make on that? Thank you. Go ahead if you would, Lisa.
Tim,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes, and that motion has passed. Number 5 on the agenda is the village administrator's introductory period performance evaluation. Danielle, would you like to begin that conversation?
Yes, so I had a couple weeks ago asked council about this, and I didn't really hear back. I had provided some different evaluation forms. I actually pulled those right off of the Michigan Municipal League's website. They have a lot of different documents that you can use as resources. My contract does not actually specifically state that I have to have a 6-month evaluation. However, that is normally the standard for the employees. They have that introductory period, and then after that, an annual review. I did feel like this was a good conversation to have though, because one, for me, being a little bit selfish, it would be nice to know how you guys will be evaluating me at the 1-year mark. Additionally, I work for you guys and I am not perfect. Don't tell my kids that. But if there's something that I need to improve on, then I want to make sure that I can do that and that we have that open dialogue, so that I am making sure that I'm meeting your expectations and what you're wanting out of me in this position. So I put it on the agenda. It's completely up to you guys how you want to handle this. again, the contract doesn't say you have to do it, but I just thought it would be a good conversation to have, see what the game plan was moving forward.
I think I sent an email to you to ask you to put it on the agenda, so perhaps I didn't hit send when I created that, but I'd like to speak to this. I agree with you, Danielle. I think it's important for you to know what you would be evaluated on, and I think that council would agree that you saw the example, the sample of what we are currently using, and it's pathetic, absolutely pathetic. And I like that you have gone ahead and taken the initiative to come with a couple other, options to take a look at. One of my suggestion would be this, to have a subcommittee to go ahead and take a look at the various evaluations that are there. And I know we don't want to reinvent a wheel, but I think we need to sort of kind of reinvent a wheel. Each, I think, in my opinion, of the evaluations has something that is pretty cool, for lack of better words, but I don't think the whole evaluation itself is pertinent to the village of Blissfield. So I wondered if we could get a subcommittee that would go ahead and kind of pick and choose and make an evaluation that we feel would suit our needs. And then we could obviously have discussion with the team, and then Danielle would have that opportunity to see how we would be evaluating you, Danielle. It may not obviously be here at the 6-month mark, but it definitely could be something down here at the 8-month mark, or whatever the case may be. Because I agree with what you're stating, that you need to know the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever it may be, so that we know and keep ourselves moving forward. We know that that's something that we have as a council for the village of Blissfield, that has been something that we need to keep that line of communication and positive direction going as it has been. So that's my 2 cents, everybody.
I would agree. I was just gonna ask how we go about choosing which one of these might work, or pieces of one might work. So I agree with the ad hoc committee.
Okay.
I think that would be a good thing. At least we can present something to the rest of council and say, this is what we came up with. Any tweaks you want to make to it, and we can finalize it and then move forward.
Okay. Bart, comment on that? I would agree. Tim?
I would agree.
And James?
If we do something like this, I'd like to see it used by Danielle for department heads and other employees.
Have it
maybe have it consistent, maybe not as in-depth. There's if it's not applicable, that's fine. But something so everybody knows how they're being judged, what council's looking for, what managers are looking for, what the administrator is looking for.
Is there something currently, Danielle, that you use for the department chairs or any of that?
So I actually, my first 6 months did not do any evaluations. I just actually had asked Lisa about this. I looked at some of the past ones, so I've not used anything. I actually love James's idea. I would love to see a standard for everybody. I'm no different than the department heads. So my plan was this year to really, I would like to do evaluations with the employees, but to really have it be a time to communicate, these are my expectations, how are we going to achieve these, and really be more about goals rather than solely evaluating their performance, just because in all fairness, I've only been here a short time frame, and we're still all learning how to work together. But I love James's idea. I think that's really great.
Okay. With all that being said, Jerry, I'm hearing you volunteer, is that correct?
Yeah, I would volunteer.
Jerry, I think that would be a wonderful thing. And Barb, you have an interest? And Tim?
Yeah, I would.
Great. James, do you want to join?
I'd like to see Danielle be part of that committee.
Oh, can that be fourth? My apologies. It's got to come to the third.
I'd like to see Danielle be part of that as well, to have her input. But the final say to be with the members of council.
So I am hearing at this time, Jerry, Barb, Tim, and having Danielle.
I will concede my position there if James wants to be involved. No? Okay. No. You had a good idea, so I don't want to see you get.
Hand up first.
Okay, Danielle, I think that then we will go ahead and let you, if it would be all right, to coordinate the date / time, Zoom, whatever works for these folks to to meet. You guys have the copies obviously there on the computers, but Tim, do you want a hard copy? You're all set.
I can get a hard
You're all
copy,
set.
yeah.
Jerry, would you like a hard copy for you?
No, I just wrote it out.
You're all set, okay. So Danielle, if you want to go ahead, you're all set. On your mark, get set, go. All right,
And
beautiful.
can we formalize that in a motion,
we have
just
to have a
so?
motion.
Oh, my apologies. Sure, I was just gonna say, let's do it. All right,
So I'll make a motion that we formulate an ad hoc committee
thank you.
to work on a standardized evaluation form for the village administrator and all village employees.
Support. I'm gonna wait, I'm gonna talk very slowly. Jerry has made a motion.
A very wordy motion.
Same. And Barb has seconded it. And in just a moment, Lisa's gonna read it for us.
Formulate an ad hoc committee to work on standardizing evaluation form for the village administrator and employees.
Jerry, would you concur with that?
Yes.
Okay. So we have Jerry, as I stated, seriously making that motion. Barbara seconded. I think we're ready for a call, please. Thank you.
Do we want to add the names and who?
Oh, perhaps we should. Yes, thank you.
So I need to amend my motion to add the names of Jerry Hayes, Tim Waters, and Barb McHenry.
Thank you for your assistance.
And Danielle. Gross. Yes.
Because I seconded it, I have to okay that.
Yes.
So I do that, I okay that amended.
James,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Gwen.
Yes. And that motion has been passed. We are gonna go on to the reports. Administrator, would you like to discuss any of your project list for 2022?
I don't really have anything unless you guys have specific questions. I guess just FYI, I did remove the completed projects and figured that it was 2022 and we'd start fresh. So I'll just start adding and marking them completed as we go. But I just have been trying to share that at the second meeting so you guys can see us progressing on that.
I like it as part of the second meeting. I do too.
I do have a question. I see on a couple of these projects, you have part of county ARP funding request. Have we heard anything from the county yet?
No.
They have a meeting in February.
They had initially thought that it would be middle of January, but we have not heard anything. I did hear that one of the individuals that was kind of leading that is retiring or has retired. So I'm not sure if that's caused some delays, but I will reach out to them this week and see if there's any update or time frame.
Thank you.
Anyone have any questions for Danielle? Okay, we have the DDA Main Street report, the director's report. No comments on that. Parks and Recreation. I will make a comment about the Parks and Rec. I attended my first Parks and Rec meeting last week, and it was very nice to hear what's going on. They really have stuff going on. Danielle, did they have the opportunity to determine the two individuals, whether they were continuing with the as a committee person or if they were not?
We did have one resignation formally. I'm still waiting to hear back from another. So we do currently have one opening board position, potentially two.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Parks and Rec? Building and planning. I see that you have the note, Danielle, from Todd, Mr. Roach there. And it looks like that Mr. Hargrove has obtained his permits for electrical and plumbing. He will be working on fixing the interior framing, installing the new wiring and plumbing during the winter months. Does anyone have any comments about that at this time? Okay.
So it seems like progress is being made.
All right, and Nora, while you're here, would you like to address anything with the water treatment plant?
If you guys had any questions over anything on it,
Sounds like some maintenance issues were kind of going, right?
sludge building, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, when I met with Mannequin Smith on Thursday, I had them also look at it. Danielle and I have talked through, and I have a document that I can get to you guys on what we've paid. It's now 10 years old, and how much we've paid out in repairs, what our yearly balance or our yearly budget is on it. Last year, most of that money sat there because it didn't work, and that's how it's looking this year so far. Danielle and I talked, and we're to the point where we don't want to keep throwing money in this bucket that hasn't been working for us. So we're going to talk to Mannequin Smith and look at some engineering on additional ways to take care of our sludge. So we'll keep you guys updated on that as that goes.
Thank you, Nora.
Yeah.
Randy, anything in particular you'd like to share regarding the wastewater treatment plant? Anything in addition to what we've already discussed about the wastewater treatment plant?
No, as you can see by my title, I'm trying to jump ahead to the end of the project.
Keep up the good work,
Let's
man.
keep that smile on your face, Randy, that's all we ask.
And there is the Department of Public Works. Any questions or any comments about it? DPW. Then we'll go on to number 9, which is the council discussion. Is there anything that we'd like to discuss regarding new or old business that anyone would like to address at this time?
Gwen,
Oh, my apologies, yes. Yes?
sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. Under reports, I just wanted to note that there is a planning commission annual report. I think it's item 6. Are you guys seeing that?
Oh, I bypassed it. Sorry about that. Yes, I did. Thank you.
No, that's okay. I wanted to point it out because it is a new report. This is another one of the RRC task items that we are supposed to be doing. It's also in the Planning Commission's revised bylaws that we just recently adopted. So they did approve this template. You'll see a report similar in layout, just with new information every year in hopefully January if we're on top of our jobs. But I just wanted to make sure you guys did see that. And if you have any questions about that, let me know.
Thank you, Danielle. Jerry, anything for discussion?
No, not at this time.
And Bart? And Tim?
Nope.
And James? Beautiful. We're on to public comment for items that are not on the agenda.
I have something to discuss.
If you would just state your name, please. Thank you.
Jess Vance. I'm a resident here, have been for ages, but I live here on King Street, 104 King Street. And I just wanted to bring awareness of my concern. Sorry if I become emotional, it's just a lot. I've owned my home for approaching 7 years, and there is an issue underneath the street in front of my home. It's a water issue. Just over the weekend, I started to notice water seeping from cracks. Yeah, from previous fixed jobs on King Street. There's 6 patch jobs, and this was coming from 2 of them. So there were like these small little geysers surrounding like the perimeter of these like cement slabs that had been taken out, or asphalt. And so I brought awareness to it. I called, nobody's working on the weekend, I understand. I reached out to a friend, brought awareness to it. Someone came, who I believe was, part of Department of Works, came. And because at this point the water had started to freeze, he made a snarky comment that the problem must have resolved itself, and that there was no more like current flowing of water, even though at this point it had started at the house east of mine and had flowed in front of their entire home, in front of my entire home, and now onto my other neighbor.
Is this
down into a drain.
Jessica, is this on the yard or in the street, you're saying?
This is on the street.
This is all still in the street, okay.
Yeah, yeah, so probably like the north third of the street, it would flow down. So initially it was coming out of the storm drain. Then I saw it seeping out of the road. And like I said, brought awareness. A gentleman came, and I harshly used the word gentleman because he cursed at my mom who was there, rose his voice, didn't want to have anything to do with helping us.
DPW worker?
Yeah.
Are we permitted to get the name?
Not right now.
So he made my mom feel very small, and he ended up leaving that day saying if we felt like we could pay for 5 workers to come in on their day off on a Saturday to resolve the issue, then so be it, but they would return Monday. So they returned today and they tore the street apart.
When you say they, again, being the Blissfield DPW?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
several-
there were about 6, my neighbors, I'm here on behalf of like 6 of my neighbors. So while I was at work, they were sending photographs of people. And my mom was kind enough to go and ask the gentleman what was happening. And this time they backed up away from her and got into their truck and would not speak to her. About a year
Is that
ago.
one person or several people?
That was 2, right? No, 2 wouldn't speak to her. And I'd say about 2 years ago, I brought awareness of an issue to my basement. It's been a known issue that my basement floods, but it's very strange to me that it's treated water. It has chlorine, it has fluoride, and it has rust contaminations.
How do you know that?
It fills my basement. My uncle, who works for Metamora treatment, he actually came and tested my water.
So he tested the water that was in the house?
In my basement.
I'll check, we did
Yeah,
test it for.
yeah.
Gotcha.
We
Okay,
had
so it
everything
was
tested.
not
Yeah.
just nasty water. but
Yeah,
it was
no, and it was initially tested back in 2015 as well, and they found it back then too. Back then, Channel 13 actually came to my home. So it's
We don't
been,
need them right now. Okay?
yeah, right,
Right now.
yeah.
Just hang tight.
So it's been, right,
Okay,
so it's
okay.
been a
I
big
understand.
issue.
I understand, I do.
And I really love my home and I take a lot of pride in it and I really love my town. So I'm feeling very abandoned. But no one is really coming to me with a resolution. They dug up the street today. They refused to tell my mom what was going on. They fixed what looks like a 6-foot piece of a very small main that broke. And they admitted that it's a main that broke. So they fixed the 6-foot area, but again, this is one patch of 6 on like a street that is, I mean, less than a quarter of a mile long. So I think that it's time that the whole street be looked at. Because I mean, I have to have some hope that something's gonna get resolved because I contacted my neighbor. And 2 years ago, she has papers. She actually sold the home about a year ago. And she has the papers and photos from the water main breaking in February of 2018 in the exact same spot. And back then it had shut her water off for 4 days and all her pipes burst. So in regards to that, I'm very nervous.
Ma'am, do you live with Jess or do you live in one of the houses down the street there?
That's my mom. She lives within Blissfield limits, but on Crockett Highway. So
Okay.
she's just here for support and awareness when
But you also
I'm
had
not there.
somebody not be so very kind to you, is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's why I wanted to clarify. Okay, so you don't live in the residence, but
Right.
you were there and then.
While I was working.
I understand. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
On my behalf.
I'm gonna make a comment, Jess, okay, that Danielle is obviously listening. At this time, she wasn't able to be in the office today. I think Lisa has her business card. Probably best that you talk directly with Danielle. I apologize, but she's obviously heard your story, okay? But she's gonna want to get more details, more in depth of what's going on and who perhaps you were speaking with, spoke with your mother, all those details. I guess I could just say on behalf of the board, I'm very sorry, and I'm very surprised to hear this. I'm very saddened to hear this. But I feel very confident that if anybody can resolve this, Danielle Gross is the person to talk with. I really truly believe that, and I think our board would concur with that.
I would agree.
Thank you.
I'm very sorry you have to do that. And ma'am, I'm very sorry that you had to endure that as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Danielle, we're certain that you'll take care of that.
Yes, and Jess, I'm so sorry that I can't be there in person, but definitely take my card, get a hold of me, and we'll schedule something because I would like to sit down with you and again, apologize and make sure that we can find some solutions. So.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for the duration of the entire meeting in order to tell your story. I bet you learned a little bit about the government.
We did, we did.
That's not what you had on your agenda, I'm sure. But thank you for your patience and seriousness. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. If
Why
you wouldn't
is the
mind.
board not aware of the patch jobs that are being done on King Street?
As a board, you're wanting to know why we as a board don't know about the patch jobs? Danielle, I'll let her address that if you don't mind.
So we don't typically report every time that a street is patched. That's a very short answer. I think it would be really beneficial for us to sit down. And can't tell if this is Jess still or somebody else, but I would welcome anybody that would like to talk about this in more detail. And then I can report back to council. There's just a lot of different factors that go into patching streets and water breaks. And we don't report all of those little details to council. We report to them larger projects. So when we're doing our capital planning, we would be reporting, that water main would be replaced on X street or where that's going to be and what budgetary that's going to look like. But we don't get them involved in the nitty gritty of the day to day.
Okay. I knew she could address it much better than I could.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Judy, do you want to address?
I was just gonna say, and you gotta keep in mind too, that most of the water lines under the village are 100 years old. And so we've got this plan that we'll be working on to get those. We need to start thinking about replacing things as we go along, so.
Oh, that's crucial, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's on the agenda for the.
We have to replace, Daniel, what's the timeline? We have to replace service lines from the house to the street, isn't it?
We need to be working on a plan for that now. And then just to expand, like you said, we've definitely have some deferred maintenance village wide. And one of my main goals is really helping to get us on track with some more planning and using grants to help capitalize the money that we do have to get more projects done. So this is a major project for me and a priority moving forward. It just unfortunately takes time and lots of money.
Is there anything else you folks like to say at this time?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Is there anyone else who would like to things to say? Okay, beautiful. Thank you. I would go ahead and. Oh, my apologies. Go ahead. Yes.
I'm so sorry. It's hard when I can't see. I do have a public comment, I guess, kind of. I know I'm not public, but I just really wanted to take a minute to thank a couple people. Last Friday, we had a youth ice skate night, and it turned out awesome. It was so much fun to see these kids come together. We went to the Tamo Shanner, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, in Sylvania. And then we went back to the middle school and played basketball, and we had pizza from Lena's. But Lisa's Brunch Box donated and paid for a majority of the ice skating rental with Three Bridges Boutique. And then Brandon Hudson made a donation as well for some beverages and some supplies. And then I just wanted to thank the Blissfield Community Schools and specifically Scott Abbott for letting us use the vans that the school owns, as well as the middle school cafeteria and gym. It was Heather and I were able to go with the kids, and they were huge kudos to the parents and kids. They were super polite and well-behaved. They got along, they had a blast. It was just a really cool event. So I wanted to share that with you guys. And just thank you to everybody.
Thank you. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Support.
Jerry makes a motion to adjourn and Jamie supports. If you'd like to go ahead and call the roll, please.
I will have,
Barb.
a motion for them to approve the installation.
Tim,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Gwen. Yes. And the meeting is adjourned.